Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hey, hey.
Jonathan Voico's here.
Good morning.
But most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day, and here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a bunch of topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or a topic you'd like us to discuss, as long as we deem it appropriate to be discussed on the show, go ahead and fire it on into www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the good news. The tip link is good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So even if you're not watching us live, maybe you're listening to us on our podcast feed, either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any of the places you get your podcasts, or maybe you're watching our show a little bit later on in the day when we're not live, you can still send in a topic or question using the tip link, and we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode if you send it in when we're not live. All right, guys. That down, I want to remind you guys that it is that time of the year that we are doing our annual Adopt a Family. We, of course, adopt a family every year to make sure that a family who may not be in a position to give their kids a proper Christmas get that proper Christmas. You guys have come through in spades in the last few years. And this year we've got a mom with 3 children, ages 3, 11, and 15. And we put together this Amazon wish list. And while it still looks like there's a bunch of things on there, and there's still a bunch of things on there that you guys can go and buy, and it will be delivered straight to Ann and I for Ann and her mom to wrap up, and we'll take it over. The fact of the matter is you guys have already gotten 90% of the stuff on the wish list. There still are a few things there that you guys can get, as I pointed out, including even just a couple of $10 Amazon gift cards or whatever. Go and check it out. The wish list link to the Amazon wish list is in the description of this video. Go check it out and help us give this family an awesome Christmas. All right, guys. Some of you may have noticed that we started the show just a few minutes late. That's because they dropped Creature Commandos, so I had to go watch that this morning. But we're going to talk about Creature Commandos in just a little bit. But first, we're going to start off with this. Of course, Wicked, right now, doing major damage at the box office. It's going to be winning awards. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, too. But you guys might remember, it also made a bit of a splash a couple of weeks ago for all the wrong reasons. Because accidentally, although how on earth this happened, I do not know, a number of Wicked toys by Mattel got shipped out, but instead of having the proper web address to the movie being wickedmovie.com, they accidentally just put the web address as wicked.com. And wicked.com is not the website for the Wicked movie. It is indeed one of the biggest porn-producing companies in the world. And some people went to wicked.com. And we talked about this a few years ago. And it's stupefying that got by so many layers of quality testing that nobody caught this. Again, you just think the movie Wicked, yeah, wicked.com. Whatever, honest mistake. They did a recall of the products and all that kind of stuff. But this is America. Which means if you serve me coffee that's a little bit too hot, I'm going to sue you.
Well, to be fair, that was a real one.
Well, still, we'll find any excuse. We'll find any reason in this country.
Yeah, but we are over litigated in many ways.
Yes, we are an over litigious society. And sure enough, you knew as soon as you heard that they accidentally printed the wrong web address on something that somebody was going to see this as an opportunity and hear that sound in their head. Cha-ching.
I wonder if those are worth something now for traders.
Oh, I'm sure they're collector's items now.
Oh, yeah, if they got their hands on it.
These are going to be worth a lot
Yeah.
at some point. Like errors on anything.
Yeah.
Like errors on movie posters, errors in coins, errors in stamps. Like errors actually make something the most valuable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not forget that. Because a woman named Holly Ricketson. Are you sure her name's not Karen?
Karen Ricketson.
Anyway, according to the BBC, Holly Ricketson has filed a civil lawsuit on Tuesday claiming that she bought the doll for her minor daughter, who then visited the adult entertainment website on the packaging.
Oh, no.
Her daughter immediately showed her the site featuring hardcore, full-on nude pornographic images, the lawsuit claims. They were horrified by what they saw and suffered emotional distress, her lawyers added. And the court documents say that the pornographic website was an inexcusable error, which rendered the dolls unfit for their intended purpose. They also claimed the company has not offered any refunds despite the error. Miss Ricketson said she would not have bought the doll if she was aware of the mistake. They wouldn't have sold the doll if they were aware of the mistake either. Anyway, this is the thing. The class action lawsuit is seeking $5 million in damages for anyone in the United States who bought the dolls with the error on the packaging.
You know what, John?
I don't know how, like, if you spread that across everyone who bought, I don't know that you get much out of that.
Well, I don't know that many sold that still had the error on it.
You know, when I was a kid, the first thing I did when I got a new toy is I read every single thing on the box.
Yes.
Even the smallest little print
and
the back.
any websites that
was
were
important.
unlisted.
I needed those warnings. I needed to know not what to do with the toy.
And then you did them. Then you
And I
proceeded
still
to
did
do
them.
them.
I wish I read the label on the He-Man slime because I poured it over my head.
And as you're reading it, you're like,
that
oh.
slime stuck in my hair, and my mom had to put vinegar in to wash it off.
Was that the same slime as like ectoplasm for the Ghostbusters?
Yeah,
toys?
all those.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, I know I was a kid, I would open a package of toys and think, oh, this looks good to swallow. Wait a minute. The package says choking hazard. I better not swallow it.
This seems a little too far-fetched. Okay, let's say if this is all true, I apologize. But for me, if your child is going on the internet, shouldn't you be supervising them, or like shouldn't?
Listen, you're getting into something that I was going to bring up.
Oh, sorry.
I think we as a society should bring a lawsuit against Miss, Karen.
Yeah.
I think because we can't have negligent parents not supervising their children on the internet, and I also think she should be sued because she bought the product without inspecting it first.
Yep. Oh, wow.
I think her daughter. Yes, I think her daughter should sue her mother.
Yeah.
Because Mom,
Divorce. They should
you
have a
were
divorce.
negligent. You didn't inspect what you bought me, and you just bought something willy-nilly and handed it to me as a child. You're responsible, Mom. For making sure what you're handing me is safe.
I assume there's a lot of people who were excited for this movie and just automatically went online and just put www.wicked.com.
Listen, Wicked itself said that they started to see an uptick in their website traffic prior to those toys going out. Of course, there are a lot of people looking for Wicked. It's natural, wicked.com.
Yeah.
But, of course, it was there. Look, the one thing that's in this lawsuit that I think has some merit is the part where they said that the company had not as of yet offered, like this is the part right here. They also claim the company has not offered any refunds despite the error. You know what? There may be some merit to that. Now, granted, we're talking about the package, not the toy.
Yeah, we're talking about the package, John.
What are we talking about? Practice?
Yeah.
Definitely talking about the package.
Manscaped.
They're talking about
Package.
the packaging.
Yeah, I know.
We're talking about the packaging, not the toy. The toy is perfectly good. The toy is perfectly fine. It's that there was a typo error on the packaging. And we all laughed about it. And listen, the Mattel acknowledged the problem as soon as they realized what happened. They acknowledged the problem. They recalled the product. And maybe they should offer a refund for the toys. Again, we're not talking about a problem with the toy. We're talking about a problem with the package. Anyway, the idea, though, this is simply, in my opinion, some opportunistic, low moral worth scumbag seeing this as any opportunity to try to make a buck.
For $5 million, that's a lot of. As kids, you come across things you're not supposed to all the time, and maybe it does like shock you. And I'm not saying like, oh, that kid wasn't like, oh, maybe they've never seen anything like that. Probably, hopefully not at their age. But $5 million. I mean, I've stumbled across a lot of things as a kid, and I didn't see $5 million.
And for any parent who actually had this happen, where their child actually went to the website and now you have to talk to your kid or explain.
No, I get
I'm sorry.
that.
Yeah, I apologize. I wouldn't want to be
But
in
no,
your shoes.
no, but I'm sorry, it's bullshit. This
Right,
is
right, right. But
absolute bullshit.
this one, it seems a little too detailed. She was a little too detailed in what everything that happened. Like,
Yeah, I mean, listen, there are literally thousands of people that probably accidentally ended up on the wicked.com website without the toy just because, wicked.com. It's also important to point out here, wicked.com is a legal business. It's not like it's something illegal that the toy company didn't shove cocaine up your daughter's nose, right? It was a mistake. It was a typo to a website that is publicly available for anybody to go to see. Was it an accident? Yes. Did somebody probably get fired over this? Yes. Should Mattel have recalled those toys off the shelf? Yes, and they did. For them to say we need to file a lawsuit, we suffered. Oh, shut the fuck up.
I forgot to ask you. Now, speaking of this, at your showing of Wicked, were there many kids there? Is
Tons of kids.
Is this a kids movie?
It's definitely I will say it's definitely kid friendly.
Because a part of me kind of, since I haven't seen it, questioned why they even had toys to begin with in the toy aisle. But you see that it's a movie that.
Oh, it's not an adult movie.
Okay,
No, it's
okay.
a PG movie.
Okay.
Like it's definitely like targeted at families and all that kind of stuff. But oh my God.
Yeah.
Like seriously, again, in my strict personal opinion, this is just some low bottom dwelling scumbag seeing this as an opportunity to make a buck. Now, again, I agree with the one part that, hey, you know what? For people who were offended by it, at least a refund should be offered on the toy. I will agree with them at that. I'm with them on that. Absolutely. $5 million for the suffering for something that is publicly available for anybody who types in the web address, right?
Oh, yeah.
I wonder how many were sold because you got to spread that in a class action.
Yeah, it didn't sound like a lot got sold. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot in terms of overall toy sales, but it doesn't sound like a lot got sold prior to the mistake being discovered.
You know what's crazy, John? Is I walked into Walmart one morning before work just because I had to pick up some supplies for us. And I was there when they put the pallets out of those dolls. I was thinking maybe I should get one just to get for the show, to show on the show.
Oh, man.
Since I didn't. And they just had put them out and they were setting up the display. They were all gone.
Because I'm telling you, Jonathan, that package, if you have that original toy with that packaging with the print error on it, I guarantee you that's going to be worth money, man.
Yeah.
That's going to be worth bucks.
Especially right now.
But again, I would say that then society, the state should sue this woman for not properly supervising her child on the internet. And the daughter should sue her mother for emotional distress
Well, you know
for
what?
not making sure she was buying a safe product for her daughter. Look, we all laughed and we all mocked Mattel when they made this mistake, and they should be mocked. 100% they should be mocked. We mocked them ourselves. But to say, you caused us $5 million in emotional distress and suffering. Shut the fuck up. You're pathetic. This is absolutely ridiculous. Listen, the stuff is out there. Should Mattel be careful? Yes. Were they humiliated? Yes. Should they offer you a refund on your product? Arguably, yeah. I'd be with you
Or
on
send
that.
them new
But-
packaging.
Or send you the same package with the error in a plastic box that you can save for 5 years and sell it for $20,000 in a few months. But anyway,
Go to Toy Federation.
This is a staggering example to me of human stupidity. Look, it's not like they sold a Wicked toy of the Prince Charming character, and when you pulled his pants down, he's got a 13-inch dick on it. It's not like that. It was a printing error.
Which should have been caught.
Which should have been caught.
Which is so
100%.
outrageous that they didn't catch that. No one read it. People read it twice, 3 times, 4 times, and still let it go.
Oh, listen, it went through 9 levels at Mattel. Then it went through some of the studio levels as well.
Look.
But whatever, it happens.
John, when we get our little ad sponsor write-ups, whatever that they tell us, they make
They're
it clear.
meticulous.
They make it clear. Universal should have said, hey, Mattel, it's clear our website is Wicked Movie.
Oh, yeah,
you know how
listen.
they underline our stuff?
Yeah,
in
but
our...
we talked about that
Yeah.
ad nauseum, right? We completely agree that this was a mistake that shouldn't have happened and should have been caught. Okay, but at the end of the day, They didn't have Elphaba with a bag of crack
Yeah,
in the toy box. It was a typo.
It didn't ruin lives.
It didn't ruin lives.
Jesus.
So anyway, I'm sure a lot of different people are going to have a lot of different opinions on this. But guys, come on. Can we grow up a little bit?
Well, I think also the problem with the class action is like, so they went to that website, but that doesn't mean that everybody that got the one that had wicked.com went to the website.
No, and here's the other problem with
how do you prove they did or
exactly.
that they were bothered?
How do you prove in a class action lawsuit that everybody who's signing up for it actually did have a child that actually accidentally went to wicked.com? You can't prove that happened.
And if they're playing with toys, are they on the internet? No, they're busy playing with toys. So I this story just seems strange to me. A little too far-fetched for me.
And even the mom herself. You know what? I mean, this is just my own personal opinion, but I would bet 1,000 imaginary internet dollars that she's making this whole fucking story up.
I wouldn't.
I would put 1,000 imaginary internet dollars on the fact that she's just making this up. Just saying, oh, my daughter, really? Because like, anyway, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I could see if like she did it before the story ever dropped, but I feel like she did this after the story dropped, and everyone was aware of it, and then it's like, oh,
yeah. Oh, wait a minute, they did what on their packet? I bought that toy. I should check to see if it's got. Oh, it does.
Oh,
I'm gonna say my little girl accidentally went to that website. Anyway,
someone wrote it was actually the husband. He's like, I don't know. You went
on the internet history.
It's on the toy. I don't know. She probably just did it. That's crazy. How did you even know to do that?
Anyway, to me, this is just so utterly ridiculous. And listen, like maybe her story's true. I doubt it personally, but let's say her story's true. Okay, let's say her story's true. All right. Well, listen, your daughter is going to see a lot of things. Your kid's going to see a lot of things in life, at school, on billboards and the thing. And as a parent, you're going to have to sit down and talk to them, say, okay, hey, what you saw was probably for grown-ups. Like, look, parent your kid. But anyway, to just go, we're going to sue them. Anyway, this to me is ridiculous. Guys, what do you think about this? I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different types of opinions. And hell, who knows? Maybe 2 months from now, I'll even have a different opinion than what I have right now when I think about it more. But right now, to me, this seems utterly ridiculous. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Our first journey into the brand new DCU has dropped earlier than I thought. I thought it was going to come out tonight, but Creature Commandos. The first 2 episodes of Creature Commandos are now out and available on Max. Now, I'm a huge James Gunn fan. Everybody knows this. I'm a massive fan of James Gunn. I love his work, and I'm really excited about his DCU. I'm beside myself with enthusiasm for the new Superman, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But I admit, I have not been all that excited for Creature Commandos. Mostly because I'm not quite sure where it fits in what this new DCU is. Also, for me personally, I didn't think the trailer was great. I thought it wasn't bad, but I didn't think it was great. So I was definitely looking forward to watching it, but I would have been lying if I said I was excited. So I went and watched Creature Commandos this morning, the first 2 episodes. And right now, if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 96% rating at the moment. 84% audience, which is still great. Again, it's hard to take audience ratings for TV shows seriously because they can't prove people watched it, but still, 96% critic rating right now. So I watched it, and I thought it was okay. I'd even say decent. It was pretty decent. I liked it. I don't think it's anywhere near as good right now, only 2 episodes in. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as, say, Invincible, or at least Invincible Season 1. I wasn't a big fan of Invincible Season 2, to be honest. But I don't think it's near as good as Invincible Season 1 so far. I don't think it's as good as Harley Quinn so far. But I think it's promising. It's got promise. And I mean, at least there was direct reference to Flag.
Yep.
To Flag and his son.
There was some dialogue and some humor in there that was very James Gunn-esque.
Yeah, some of it was very, very James Gunn.
The whole time we were watching it, I was like, how awesome would this show be Not discrediting any of the animators because I like the animation style. If it was live action, whoa, it would
Well, I
be
mean, you
really
will
cool.
see some of these people in live
It
action.
would be really, really cool just to have like the makeup and the bride.
Yeah, I don't know how you do Dr. Phosphorus in live action.
Oh yeah, but I that's what I was thinking the whole time. But you could sense James Gunn all over this.
Yeah, you could feel James Gunn's fingerprints over the whole thing. He even put himself in the opening credits, which I actually thought was kind of cool.
Jonathan pointed out the music. There's very James Gunn-esque too.
It's really funky music.
It goes along with whatever scene is happening though.
Yeah, but even just the tone of the music and everything, I thought was. What's the name of the band that does it?
That's Gogol Bordello. And then that's actually them in episode 2 where they have that band where there's that montage of the bride fight over the years fighting Frankenstein. They're the band playing it. It looks just like them.
I'll tell you what though. The thing that I like the most, and the thing that gives me my most optimism for the rest of the series, was the story of the bride. Like, and that's really what the first 2 episodes really kind of focus in on, is the story of the bride and her background. And I actually ended up thinking this is pretty good.
Right.
And David Harbour doing the voice of Frankenstein. Father, should I not have one to love? I thought that was like that whole story of, and then how through time, the bride and Frankenstein have been in this cat and mouse chase like this whole time. Now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm probably totally wrong. I didn't look this up yet. Is the girl who does the voice of the bride the same girl who does the voice in
I think I know. It's
what the Dungeons and Dragons show, Vax Machina?
Oh.
Is it the same? Like I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It is the same. I thought so. I'm listening to her voice, like she sounds
Her
like
name
the
is
elf girl.
Her name is Indira Varma.
Okay.
So she plays
So I recognize her. I love her in Vax Machina. Anyway, so the humor wasn't as funny for me as some other shows. The action scenes were really quite good. Like I love the Dr. Phosphorus and Flag fight, and I like the what's the name of the Amazonian queen, Cersei?
Yeah.
Is that
Basically,
Cersei
yeah.
and the bride's fight was really good.
right.
So there's definitely promise there. So like overall, I liked it, but I don't think it's one of the best things I've seen. Like it still to me doesn't, like I said, it doesn't compare yet to like an X-Men 97, Invincible, certainly not Arcane, certainly not Harley Quinn yet. But if this is just James Gunn laying the groundwork, we could be in for something really cool with the rest of the series.
I think
And did you see anything that had in the stories that actually intertwined with what we may be seeing in the James Gunn
No,
future?
but you know what really did surprise me, speaking of like future and time? I don't know why. I kind of had it in my head that Creature Commandos was happening like 15 years ago. But it's actually right up to date. It's
right.
current. This is now.
I mean,
this is today.
Flag did Rick Flag Sr. did mention, or no, Amanda did mention Rick Flag's death.
Well, and his dad, he tells the story to the princess about the death of his son, and you know what? I think he's coming back.
You guys keep apologizing in every show. Peacemaker, Waller, making it somber. You still killed him.
No,
I'm still
it's
upset
just-
about that.
I know you're still upset about it.
But you know what? This animated show is definitely not a Saturday morning cartoon.
No.
We
It's
had
definitely not for kids.
some wicked stuff in there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I'm interested enough
Oh yeah,
to
Flag
get...
went balls deep, man.
Yeah. Oh,
he went
God.
balls deep. On that
Manscaped.
princess.
Balls deep.
Manscaped.
I'm interested enough to check out the next episode at least.
Yeah, I am. Listen, I'm on board. I'm on board. It's just that it was right around what I was expecting. It didn't really super exceed my expectations. I don't think it's great yet, but it's good.
What?
And again, for me, the big thing that I took away from the first 2 episodes is not so much the quality of the first 2 episodes, but the potential and the promise of what this series can be. And that's kind of what's got me a little bit excited.
One last question for you, Joe. Do you find it an awkward way to start his new DCU with this show?
100% I do.
Okay.
I think it's a very weird choice. I've thought this the whole time. I thought starting off the new DCU with this animated series, not any animated series, but I mean this particular animated series, I think was a very weird choice.
But it is James Gunn.
But maybe, listen, maybe once we watch the rest of the episodes,
Right.
it'll become kind of clear. Like by the time this season's over, I might be going, oh yeah, you had to start with this. Like, who knows? We'll have to see. We're only 2 episodes in. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think of the first 2 episodes of Creature Commandos? I didn't love it, but I see a lot of potential there. And there's certainly some elements in it that I thought were really good. How did you think about it? Where do you think it's going to go? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Many of you guys know Gladiator 2 is out in theaters right now. It's not exactly blowing up the box office. Right now, as of this recording, it's reported that Gladiator 2 has so far made $325 million. On how big was the budget? Like 200
I
plus?
feel like it was 2
230.
something.
Let me see.
200, like, so it's not, this movie is not broken even yet. It's still got a ways to go. But here's the interesting thing. Of course, one of the things that everybody is talking about with Gladiator 2 is
210 to 310 million.
Well, let's hope it's not 300.
it wasn't 310,
Oh.
but maybe with marketing and everything.
Net
But
budget of 210.
Yeah.
So-
yeah.
a lot of people are talking about the performance of Denzel Washington. Of course, one of the greatest of all time, Hollywood royalty. He's a GOAT. But it might surprise you because it shocked me to find out that at $325 million, check this out. Gladiator 2 is officially the biggest box office hit in Denzel Washington's career. Denzel Washington,
Mhm.
one of the best who has ever done it, one of the most iconic names in the history of Hollywood. And at 325 million, it's his biggest hit ever. I remember when I saw these headlines, I instantly thought that can't be right. That can't be right. So I went and I started looking. And sure enough, it by far is his biggest hit. When we look down what have been his biggest worldwide box office movies, his number 1 was American Gangster, which made 269 million. Number 2, Safe House. I think he did that one with Ryan Reynolds. That made 208. Philadelphia, that he did with Tom Hanks. A lot of people forget Denzel was the other lead in that. Made 206. Pelican Brief, 195. The Equalizer, 192. The Equalizer 3, 191. The Equalizer 2, 190. Inside Man, which I really liked, 186 million. Deja Vu made 180 million. And Unstoppable, that he did with Chris Pine. I was talking about that movie the other day. I really like that movie. Made $167 million. So Gladiator 2, by miles already, is by far at 325 million the biggest hit he's ever had in his career.
So Training Day didn't even make that list, huh?
Training Day, I think, made around 150 or
Yeah.
150, 160,
Because he
something like
does
that,
these like
that he won an Academy Award
yeah,
for.
he does these Academy Award level films, so obviously he's very respected. But all of these movies are not like blockbuster films, so that's why. I mean, these do good for what they're budgeted for. I'm sure that Training Day was not a massive budget either. You know what I mean? So they're profitable and they're wonderfully made.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of the movies, like for instance, all the Equalizer movies, one way or another, have ended up being profitable for the
Yeah.
studio. Not by a ton, but by a bit. Philadelphia was not an expensive movie.
No,
to
not
make.
at all.
You know, so I'm sure a lot of the movies he's made have been profitable. It's just kind of weird when you stop and think about it, at least for me. Like Denzel Washington, as long as I've been around, that's been one of the iconic names. And you would think that this guy who is one of the best of all time, but I guess that goes to the whole idea that he's never really looked or picked projects that he, on the basis of how big he thinks those movies could be.
Mhm.
He's always picked movies based on what he thought would be challenging for him, what would be fun for him to do, what would be an interesting character for him to play. He's never really once in his career did it based on what he thought, oh, this will be a big box office hit for me. And he's just kind of passed. Now, of course, he is doing a Black Panther
Yeah, that's
movie.
what I was about to bring up. Yep.
So I have a feeling Maybe now he's at that age, he's thinking, you know what? I got grandkids now and whatever, and I'm getting near the end of my career. I can do some big old movies and make big bags of money. So
Why not?
that's fine.
I mean,
but I'm sure Black Panther or whatever that one's going to be, that will probably end up truly being his biggest ever.
This is just a placeholder.
The Gladiator 2 is a placeholder for the record.
Yeah.
Still, I got to tell you guys, for me, it was really eye-opening when I said, you're telling me that before Gladiator 2, the highest grossing worldwide box office film that Denzel Washington has done was $269 million?
I mean, we did a story like this, I think, for Tom Cruise, and we were all just like,
yeah.
Oh wow. You know?
Oh,
Yeah, I remember we did that. Like,
Yeah.
other than this one, that his highest grossing movies were not actually all that high.
Right.
Like before the Mission Impossibles and stuff like that. So anyway, I thought it was really an interesting fact to learn. Guys, question is for you. Does this piece of information surprise you? That at $325 million, that is one of the GOATs, Denzel Washington's biggest box office haul in his career, in his historic career. It was for me. Maybe you knew this all along. It just kind of caught me off guard. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still have a couple of other things that we need to talk about here today, including it looks like the Harry Potter series coming up may have found its Snape, and it's an Emmy Award nominated actor. We're going to talk about that. And also, James Gunn, yeah, him and Frank Grillo are both saying some pretty amazing things about David Corenswet and the upcoming Superman film. And Wicked has won Best Picture at the first major awards thing of the year and of the awards season. We're going to talk about those things and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second to thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Tile and Public Rec. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Life 360 Tile Trackers. With the holidays right around the corner, it's all about family, fun, and of course, keeping track of everything while traveling or hosting. For me, that's where Life 360's Tile Trackers are an absolute lifesaver. These little things help keep the holiday stress in check. Whether I'm tracking my keys, wallet, or even our luggage when we travel, Tile Trackers make it easy to keep tabs on everything important. Just open the Tile app to ring it when it's nearby, or track down its location on the map if it's a bit farther. I had mentioned this one time I went to a poker tournament in Vegas, and I keep everything, my wallet, my tablet, and stuff like that, in this satchel backpack of mine, and I thought I lost it. I went crazy for hours until I finally realized I had left it in the car. If I had had Tile Tracker, it would have made my life a lot simpler. And here's one of the things I love about Tile. Tile syncs with Life 360, so I can see the location of my family members and all of our tiled items in one spot. So make your holidays a little less stressful and family-proof your season with Life 360's Tile Trackers. Visit tile.com and use the code Campea to get 15% off. That's tile.com. Use the code Campea. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Public Rec. Guys, we all know finding pants that both look good and feel good has always been a major challenge. Public Rec's Daymaker pants are here to make sure you stay comfy and classy this season. I absolutely love that they feel like your favorite sweats, but they look like tailored pants. They're super stretchy with an elastic waistband, so you can wear them anywhere. The first thing I noticed when I put these pants on was they go on and feel just like my most comfortable pair of sweats, yet they look so good. Another great thing about these pants is, when you order comfortable pants, you only get to pick from like small, medium, or large and extra large sizes, but with Daymaker pants, you get to select the exact width and length that you need. Public Rec not only has the most comfortable pants made, but they have a huge selection of high quality everyday basics, like this beautiful hoodie I was wearing on the show the other day. So stop suffering in regular pants and give the gift of comfort this holiday season. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off when you use the code Campea at checkout. That's 20% off with the code Campea at publicrec.com. And listen, after you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the John Campea Show and tell them that we sent you. Say goodbye to pants that put up a fight, because when comfort meets style, you've found Public Rec. And thank you to our friends at Tile and Public Rec for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? So there's a Harry Potter series coming. For those of you who may not have heard about it, HBO Max is going to be doing a series based on all the original books, except that each book is going to be a full season, promising to cover a lot of stuff that was never actually covered in the movies that were in the books. A lot of us wondered if, is this the right thing to do and all that kind of stuff. And then they announced the showrunners for it and the producers behind it, which were like the showrunners and the producers of some of the best shows on television. And we all went, oh my God, they're taking this real seriously. Like they are going all out for this thing. Well, now, according to a report in Variety, they may have their eyes on the guy who's going to be Professor Snape, and it's an Emmy Award nominated actor. This comes to us from Variety, who says, Harry Potter HBO series eyes Paapa Essiedu. Now, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it. This is one of those situations where I've read his name a whole bunch of times, but I don't know that I've ever heard anybody say his name.
Yeah.
Anyway, for Severus Snape role, they write the following. Paapa Essiedu is being eyed for the role of Professor Severus Snape in the upcoming Harry Potter TV series, Variety has confirmed with sources. According to those sources, no deal is currently in place, and Essiedu has not formally accepted the role. He is the latest actor to be mentioned for a part in the series. Variety previously reported that, and this casting would be brilliant, that Academy Award winner Mark Rylance was in the running for the role of Hogwarts headmaster Albus Dumbledore.
Oh, wow. We were just talking about him the other day.
Yeah, like he would be chef's kiss. That or Jared Harris, like Richard Harris's son.
I know,
would
but
also
he doesn't want to do it.
Would have been a great, but yeah, he doesn't want to do it. But Mark Rylance would be brilliant. Anyway, should Essiedu ultimately accept the role, it would mark a return to HBO for the actor. He previously co-starred in the critically acclaimed limited series I May Destroy You, which aired on HBO in the US. He received an Emmy nomination for his Best Supporting Actor in a limited series for his work on the show. Essiedu also is known, this is where most people know him from, is also known for his leading role in the crime drama Gangs of London, which a lot of people loved him in, as well as for shows like Press, The Lazarus Project, and The Miniaturist. He has starred in such films as 2017's Murder on the Orient Express, The Outrun, and Genie. All right. First things first, let's just address the elephant in the room, shall we? He's not white. So that's going to rub some bottom dwellers the wrong way. Whatever. You know, I talked to a friend of ours that you know, who is a serious Harry Potter person. I said, look, the movies don't. So, but I've never read the book. So I asked this person who's a hardcore Potter. I said, have the books, is there any relevance to Snape's race ever brought up in the books? And he said, no, never has. Like nothing in the books ever has any importance related to the race of the character. He could be white, he could be black, he could be Asian, he could be Pakistani, he could be anything. So like, all right. So I don't care. I really don't care. If the books and the movies never once had any importance at all or any relevance associated to what his ethnic background was, then it shouldn't matter. So this is a situation where it doesn't matter. The main thing to me is always, do you get a good actor? So now with that pushed aside where it should be, listen, I'm going to admit, I was not the biggest fan of Gangs of London. I know a lot of people loved that show. I thought it was all right. I mean, I wasn't as into it as a lot of people, but he was great in it. And he's an Emmy-nominated actor. You guys know me. I always say whenever X actor and X role questions come up, I'm always like, I don't really care. All I care about is, are you going out and getting a really talented actor? If he ends up getting this, they got themselves a world-class actor. I mean, that's all I can ask for. As a fan, as somebody who's going to watch a series or watch a movie, all I can ask is that the performers you're putting in there are really high caliber performers. And they went out and if this ends up going through.
Yeah, because it's not confirmed.
Yeah, it's not. It says the report says that he hasn't accepted the role yet, whatever. But if this does go through, man, they got themselves one hell of an actor.
Yeah.
And that ultimately is going to be what determines or go towards helping what determines whether the show ends up being good or not.
Yeah, the thing is like it beyond just like race or whatever. I think a lot of people are like, well, they should just look like a younger version of the Snape from the movie. So a lot of people were throwing around what's his name from House of the Gucci and
Adam
Adam
Driver.
Driver and stuff. Well, it's like,
Listen, hey, Adam Driver would be a great pick for Severus Snape too. Absolutely.
But my point is that you're trying to match the film, but the film wasn't necessarily canon. It didn't necessarily look like what, the book was trying to describe, because his race and actually his age was off, because this series is actually more accurate to the books, where the parents...
Yeah, that's what they're saying. The TV series is going to be more faithful to the books than the movies.
And their age,
right.
because the parents and Snape were like in their 50s pushing, you know what I mean? Whereas these guys should actually have been in their 30s. They were young parents. So generationally, it's actually more accurate.
I mean, but we'll see. It all depends on how they do it. Again, as somebody who has not read the books, I've just been told that one of the big things about this series that will differ from the movies is that the series will be much more faithful to the books than the movies were, just because, again, the books are hundreds and hundreds of pages, right? You have to cut a lot of stuff out when you're making into the movie. And they did a great job making the movies. But, there are people I know in my life who are hardcore fans of the books, my wife being one of them, who's very excited about the idea of them doing a series and seeing if they can make it even more faithful. Again, we'll see how it turns out, but I think this would be a very interesting choice. The guy's a tremendous actor, tremendous performer. Let's see what he does with it if he ends up being in the role. I got to admit, though, I am more excited about the Mark Rylance casting as Dumbledore. If that goes through, it's not a name I would have thought of off the top of my head, but when you mention it, I'm like, oh my God, that would be amazing.
I think I see Mark Rylance as the early Dumbledore, where he is soft-spoken, and most of the roles I've seen Mark Rylance in, he's soft-spoken. I'm wondering, and I don't doubt his prowess. So what I'm curious about is later on when he becomes more domineering, more forceful. I've never seen Mark Rylance, that side of Mark Rylance. I'd be really excited to see that.
Yeah.
It's
going to be really cool to see. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this potential casting and the Mark Rylance potential casting so far? We're still a long ways off. They haven't cast the kids yet. That's going to be key. Obviously, we won't know anything about the kids they cast because they're going to be completely newcomers, just like the original Harry Potter cast was. But I got to tell you, I'm not going to say I'm excited for the Harry Potter series, but I'm very intrigued by it. And especially when you look at the list of the showrunners and the producers behind it, who have done, again, Succession, House of the Dragon, like these types of, that's the pedigree of people running the show. It's going to be interesting to see how it turns out. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, guys, it's December. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
It is December of 2024. Crazy to me. Anyway, it is December, which means we are now gearing up awards season. Now, there have already been a couple of smaller things that have gone out, but traditionally speaking, the first major awards body to give out its awards every year is the NBR, the National Board of Review. That's the first one that kicks off awards season, and the National Board of Review have now listed their winners this year. And taking home best film, Wicked.
Yes.
Best website, best film. Can't beat this thing, man. Wait a minute. Poor phrasing.
Best
You can definitely
website. Best website and best film. Best film of the year taken home by Wicked. And to go along with that, John M. Chu takes home best director. Some side notes: best actor Daniel Craig for his performance in Queer, best actress Nicole Kidman for her performance in Baby Girl, best supporting actor Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, best supporting actress Elle Fanning in A Complete Unknown, best ensemble Conclave, breakthrough performance, blah blah blah. But the one we're really focusing on here is Wicked takes home best picture of the year from the NBR. Now, do I think Wicked is going to win best picture at the Academy Awards? I don't think it'll win. It's got a shot. It's definitely got a shot. I'm not going to be shocked if it does win, but it's absolutely going to be nominated. Like, I remember I said that when I came out of the screening. I'm like, guys, this movie's going to be nominated for Best Picture. It just is. Now, whether it'll win, that'll be up for debate. The National Board of Review it's not always like on target with what wins. For instance, last year, the winner of Best Picture, I believe, was Killers of the Flower Moon.
Right.
And that was definitely one of the big movies in the hunt for Best Picture last year, but obviously it didn't win. So just because it wins at the NBR does not necessarily mean it's going to win by any means at the Oscars. Still, this is a great feather in the cap for the studio. This is a great feather in the cap for Wicked. You know they're going to add this to their marketing campaign that just named Best Picture of the Year by the National Board of Review. And again, a shock to me, John M. Chu winning Best Director, but should I be shocked for him winning Best Director? Because when you look at Wicked overall, the artistry, the writing, the performances, how it was all stitched together in one really movie magic kind of package, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that he got that kind of attention.
And remember, just as a disclaimer, if you want to look up details to that award, it's wickedaward.com.
Is that an actual website?
I don't know.
Oh no. Oh no.
wickedaward.com.
No, I don't even want to see what's over there. Don't even want to see it. Now, that all being said, I have one really big bone to pick with NBR. Along with giving out their overall awards, they also normally list like their 10 best films of the year overall in no particular order. Like they did name Wicked as the best film, but then they name, what they call their top films. And what they defined as their top films are Anora, Baby Girl, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, which is kind of interesting on that list, Gladiator 2, Juror Number 2, Queer, A Real Pain, and Sing Sing.
Most of those have been released in the last 2 months.
Yeah. Where the fuck is Dune?
Ooh,
it's not in the last 2 months. Recency bias.
Listen, all film is subjective. Nobody's opinion is right and other people's opinion is wrong. It's just opinion. But I'm sorry, where the fuck is Dune? Dune 2, in my personal opinion, just my opinion, it's all subjective, I think is like the best film of the past 10 years. How is Dune 2 not on this list of top 10? I'm fine that you didn't give it Best Picture. That's fine. That's okay. How is it not in? How do you have Gladiator 2 over Dune? Gladiator 2 is Madam Web compared to Dune. I like Gladiator 2, by the way. I like the movie. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was good. But how do you have that on there and not Dune? Anyway, that's just a little personal thing. It's all subjective. There are going to be people who don't think Dune deserves to be on there. There are going to be people who think Dune should win every single Oscar. Really? You've got a top 10 and you didn't even put Dune on that?
Does that have you a little worried now for the Oscars?
Yes. Yes, it does. Again, the National Board of Review is not the Academy.
Right, but still.
It makes me a little bit.
That they didn't even acknowledge it. And then,
most of those movies didn't even release from September. It's like, that's how recent they are.
Like Furiosa was an early one.
That's the only early one.
But that's really the only one.
Juror Number 2 just came out. Anora just came out.
Furiosa, Mad Max Saga named as one of the top movies of the year.
It's like they were like,
by the way, I really liked Furiosa.
They're like, what's been in the theaters lately? Oh, pick those.
Yeah, I don't know about anyway.
Is it a sequel thing?
No, because Gladiator 2.
Because did they say
Gladiator 2 Furiosa is a
sequel biased or whatever?
They've got sequels on the list.
Oh, okay. Wicked they know is part 1, and they gave it the winner.
Anyway, that's not the story. That's just a personal bone that I'm picking. Right. That's just me. The real story is Wicked winning the first major award, and it's got to make you wonder, how much momentum is this thing going to have going into, like, once we get to the SAGs and once we get to the DGAs and once we get to the Critics' Choice, and once we get to the Golden Globes, and like, how much momentum is this thing going to have? This, a lot of people often complain that the award season doesn't recognize the big films. Wicked's a big film. It's going to be one of the biggest of the year.
Yeah.
Not the biggest of the year, but it's going to be one of them. It's going to be up there. And it's going to carry a lot of momentum. And listen, I give it all the credit in the world. I love this movie. I think this movie deserves all the flowers it's getting. So good for them for taking home Best Picture at the NBR. And we'll see how much that rolls into the rest of the award season. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The first major trophies to be given out this year. The National Board of Review have given not only Best Picture to Wicked, but also given its director, John M. Chu, Best Director of the Year. How do you feel about that? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? You know, guys, in a couple of weeks, we will be in the year that Superman is coming out.
Meow.
James Gunn, all due respect to Creature Commandos, which kind of what their people are calling the soft launch of the DCU. The DCU really gets full going with the drop of the first film of the new cinematic universe from James Gunn and his partner Peter. Superman coming out in July. So excited about it. And everybody's talking about when are we going to get the first trailer? Probably before Christmas. I still think they should wait till Super Bowl, but whatever. Probably going to get that. We're probably going to start seeing a lot of images coming out. But now James Gunn and even fellow cast member Frank Grillo, who is the voice of Flag in Creature Commandos, and he's going to be playing the same character in Superman, are just coming out and raving about David Corenswet. Saying like he's the real deal. He's going to freak everybody out. Frank Grillo saying he is Superman. This comes to us. This is James Gunn talking about it, saying this. Superman is an enormous bear of a movie, Gunn said. It's completely different from this show in every way, but it's very much fantastic as well. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, David Corenswet is going to freak everyone out with how great he is. He is one of the best actors I have ever worked with, and he can do everything. The man is incredible. Now, that's the director of the film. Now, Frank Grillo, who has worked with a lot of guys, he's worked in the MCU as well. He said this, Henry Cavill, beautiful dude. I mean, God touched him on the shoulder and said, I'm going to make you handsome, he stated. But with David, there's something very Christopher Reeve about him. He's got a stoicism. There's a seriousness. First of all, I'm 5'10". The guy stepped out from behind the curtain with a suit on, and I was like, oh my God, you are Superman, Grillo said, of course, in comparison to stature. Because he's like 6'4", I think.
Yeah.
He goes on to say, he encompasses this aura. Superman to me was never morally derelict. Superman stood for something. He was steadfast. He was a naivete and a vulnerability about him. When I was watching Superman as a kid, and there's something about this guy, I don't know if I can articulate it, but I was like, oh, this guy is Superman. He's Superman, he concluded. Now, I remember when they first announced that Corenswet was going to be Superman, it caught a lot of people by surprise, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of us had never heard of him. I remember him from that show, Hollywood, that was on HBO. Was that the name of the show? I just keep calling it Hollywood, but I can't remember if that was.
Corenswet? Let me actually.
Yeah, that was that. Anyway, the HBO series that he did. That's the only real thing that I knew him from. Then recently we got to see him in a small role in Twisters, which it's like, wait a minute, that's Superman.
That's where I said,
I was sitting right
okay.
beside you, and you're like, oh, that's Superman. I'm like, oh my God, it is.
That's a huge Superman. That's a very tall Superman. If I was in awe at his height in Twisters, imagine Grillo, Frank, seeing him in person. This guy is towering. So
yeah, super like big guy, all that kind of stuff. He's got the stature. He's got like all that kind of stuff. So
are you talking about We Own This? No.
No. It was either.
No, it's called Hollywood.
It was called. That was the name of the show. Yeah. Oh, but I'm being reminded by the guys online. It was on Netflix. It wasn't an HBO.
Oh, that's why.
It felt like an HBO series. Right. Anyway, but that's the only real thing I knew him from, and not a lot of people watched that show either. So like this was relatively newcomer. Now we had Rachel coming in to be Lois Lane, and we all know her from the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. She's an Emmy Award-winning actress. She's going to be an awesome Lois Lane. I have no doubt about that. But not a lot of people are like, what are we getting with David as Superman? And hearing James Gunn raving about him is one thing, right? That's the director of the film. That's the head of the studio. Of course he's going to be raving about this guy. Frank Grillo, though, has always kind of been brutally candid. Even when you go back and look at his stuff in the MCU and other stuff, when you hear him talk about his former co-actors, his former projects, he's always been brutally candid. And so that's why when James Gunn made these comments the other day, I didn't make it a topic on the show yesterday Because it's like, hey, it's the head of the studio. It's the director. It's the guy who wrote the movie. He cast David. Of course, he's going to say nice things about him, right? But it's when that other interview came out with Grillo and started talking about that. By the way, he made those comments to Christian Harloff. That's where this is coming from. He had a conversation with Christian Harloff, and that's where these things are coming from. When Grillo comes out and starts saying, listen, man, I'm standing there, and he comes out, and he's 5'10". He's not a short guy, David Grillo. There he is. He's not a short guy. And he sees David come out towering over him. And he's just like, you are Superman. And the performance is the same. And we heard Rachel gave comments about his performance. Listen, I don't want to fall into that fan trap of getting my excitement too high, or my expectation levels too high, or my hype level too high. Because that happens to all of us as fans, and it often leads to us being a little bit disappointed. I don't want to fall into that trap. But it's happening.
Boy.
It's happening. I'm getting really...
Yeah, as long as you can admit it.
I'm getting really stupid excited for this thing right now. Like, really stupid excited. So, yeah, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what they're going on. And the comments to him are just, like, really standing out to me as being exactly the kind of thing I want to hear, right? It's better to hear this kind of stuff than more negative stuff, or, to hear some kind of cookie cutter studio answer or something like that. Again, the part to me that really excites me is Frank Grillo's comments. So, we'll see. We'll see how it all kind of turns out. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? His director, his co-stars are now like just raving about David as our new Superman. Of course, to me, my boy Henry. Henry is the greatest Superman of all time, in my opinion. But because he was so great, it makes me even more excited to see the next iteration of what they're going to do. Where's your hype level at right now? Are you excited? Are you skeptical about the movie? That's fair if you are. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take another quick second and thank a couple of more sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Manscaped and Aura Frames. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. Guys, with the holidays creeping up faster than you can imagine, I've got something jolly to share with you. If you want to look sharp for all those festive gatherings and maybe finally win that Best Groomed at the Family Dinner Award, check out Manscaped's latest masterpiece, the Chairman Pro Package. Trust me, it's like Rudolph for your face, guiding you to a smooth, irritation-free shave. So let's talk about the main star here, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver. This shaver comes with two skin-safe blade heads. There's the 4-blade foil for that clean, close shave, and a stubble trimmer if you're keeping a bit of that rugged look. Guys, this thing has Flex Adjust technology, so it adapts to the contours of your face and neck, giving you a smooth shave without the irritation. And yes, it's waterproof, so you can use it right in the shower, no mess. They've also included Power Shave Gel, which makes every shave glide smoothly and the face shave smoother to keep your skin calm, hydrated, and free from razor bumps. So if you're ready to upgrade your grooming game, head over to manscaped.com and use my code CAMPEA to get 20% off plus free shipping. That's manscaped.com using the code CAMPEA. Your face deserves this level of care. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Aura. Let's be honest, what most people really want for the holidays is to see their favorite people more often. That's why this year, the best gift you can give, besides plane tickets, is an Aura digital picture frame. Named the #1 digital photo frame by Wirecutter, Aura frames are incredibly smart and easy to use, allowing you to upload unlimited photos and videos directly from your phone to the frame. Plus, you can order the frame online and preload it with photos and videos using the Aura app, so it's ready to go right out of the box. Ann and I have had ours for a while now, and we absolutely love it. Because you may not know, Ann and I like to take a lot of pictures, including a lot of our dogs, Ann's recent trip to Paris, and a whole bunch of other things. And we love having it right on display right there in our living room. So save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get 35% off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code Campea at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code Campea. This deal is exclusive to listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply. And thank you to our friends at Manscaped and Aura Frames for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to the important stuff. Your comments and questions and topics. Jonathan, what we got up first?
First up, Raymond, who says, I was reading on CNN about Jack Veal, the young actor who played Kid Loki. He made an appeal on TikTok that he left home violently and emotionally abused and is now homeless. It's kind of sad to see, or that kids who find success at a young age would go through this. He would have gone through that whether he was successful or not. His parents were abusive.
Yeah, I mean, and we talked about this. We discussed this a little bit on the show the other day too. I mean, it's also a good reminder to us that we as fans often we see somebody in a big TV show or in a movie, and we just automatically think their life is great. They have all the money in the world, and they often don't. You know, who's the comedian guy from Saturday Night Live who dated Kim Kardashian? What's his name?
Pete
Davidson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I just was reading an interview. Pete Davidson was saying, remember, he was like one of the cast members of Saturday Night Live. He was making $3,000 an episode. I mean, that's not a tiny amount of money, but like he was making like $12,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And that was him being a cast member on one of the most iconic shows in television history.
Yeah, it doesn't amount to much when you live in New York and you
yeah,
got to split
live
that
in New York, and you got to pay
taxes,
agent
and
fees,
all that.
manager fees, lawyer, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that's the normal thing either. But I mean,
No.
it's a real reminder for us that this is still a job, and you worked one job and then you don't have a job, and things can be rough. And it was really sad to read about that. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Train Spotting Music Fan says, my second favorite soundtrack is Pulp Fiction.
That's a good one.
Yep. These movies, music, very nostalgic. My friends are going nuts trying to get Oasis reunion tickets. I've met them. I wasn't impressed. Plus, I always like Pulp and Jarvis. I'm assuming you mean Jarvis Cocker, fan girl. What movies, music are nostalgic for all you? Well, I think like sticking on with that, you can go with, you can't lose with Reservoir Dogs soundtrack.
Reservoir Dogs is so good.
Or the Kill Bill soundtracks were great. Yep. There's a lot of them out there. I'd have to really think about it though.
Yeah, again, for me, like, don't get me wrong, I like soundtracks like Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that, but I don't really associate soundtracks with, unlike a lot of other fans, I don't really associate soundtrack because all it is like somebody picking pre-existing songs and throwing them in a movie. Like, I'm more impressed by songs that were written for a movie or score. Like that's just what I associate with the movies more. So, although, like, look, to your point, Reservoir Dogs, stuck in the middle. Like, whenever I hear that song, I automatically think of Reservoir Dogs.
Well, because he had a way of
happens.
taking songs that were like, they're in the consciousness, but they're not like right out there. So it brings it back and then you can reassociate it with the movie.
I always associate that one song, that Sunflower song with Spider-Verse. Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Stuck by ya,
Yeah.
you sunflower.
Yeah.
That's Post Malone, isn't it?
Right.
Anyway, so crazy. Yeah, I agree. Whenever I hear that song, totally think about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. All right, what's next?
The canon says, if everything else is below average, what saves a movie more? One amazing monologue or consistently amazing cinematography?
Monologue.
Yeah, but I mean, does it save it, or is it like that one part is good?
I think it's what will stick with you more longer. Like, for example, I mean, obviously, I think Andor is the greatest thing Star Wars has ever produced since the original trilogy. But even if I wasn't big on the rest of it, I still think about that Skarsgård monologue that he says to the spy, right?
Yeah.
I burned my life for a sunrise I'll never see, or whatever the exact words were. Like, that monologue is one of the greatest things I've ever seen on television. So, I mean, a really great epic monologue, if it's written like extremely well, that can be something that sticks with you for years and years and years. Cinematography in Lord of the Rings is incredible. It really is. But when I think about Lord of the Rings, like, I think of King Theoden called, like rallying the men of Rohan to go into battle. I think of that speech.
A red dawn.
Yeah, red dawn rises, death. That's the stuff that sticks with me. So I'll go monologue, but I think it would be different for everybody. All right, what's next?
We got the canon is back. You are the decision maker. A project wraps that you personally think is bad. What factors do you look into at deciding a re-release, reshoot, or just can it? Thinking Daredevil's new season versus Batgirl movie.
I mean, every project will be different because listen, there are going to be movies that you should, and by the way, most movies don't get reshoots. Okay. Before the dawn of the MCU, 99% of movies never get reshoots because your budget's spent. That's it. You don't have the budget to go back and do reshoots on it. And it used to be that whenever you heard about reshoots, that meant the movie must be a disaster, right? The MCU changed that. Like the MCU came along and Kevin Feige famously said that, oh no, we actually plan reshoots before we even start shooting a movie. Like even before we start shooting, we schedule reshoots because they have the money for it. They know their movies are going to be big, massive hits, so they have the money for it. So reshoots were hardly ever, and still today, outside of the big comic book or the big sci-fi things, are not an option for most movies because you get a budget and that's it. You don't get $20 million more to go and do that. So there's that. Then I'm sure there are some times that projects turn out bad, but even if you think it's bad, you look at it and go, you know, this isn't very good, but it has these elements that's going to have it make money. We know it's still going to make money. So you go, okay, great, we put it out. It's very rare that something would be so horrible in its totality that you would go, we are going to hurt ourselves more by putting this out. Batgirl is an example of that, and thus Warner Brothers made the right decision canning it. Book of Boba Fett, we talked about this the other day, is one they should have just shelved. Yes, they would have been embarrassed because they had publicly announced the show at the end of Mandalorian Season 2. Yes, it would have caused a bit of an uproar, but I contend to this day, releasing the Book of Boba Fett did far more damage to the IP as a whole and to the company as a whole than any benefit they might have gotten from it. So reshoots, always an extreme rare thing that you can actually do. Scrapping the whole thing should be an absolute last resort to the point that you're like, not only is it bad, but we don't see the possibility of anybody liking this. So both of those are rare things. Most of the time, you're just going to have to go, well, we did the best we could. Let's put it out and see how it does. That's probably 95% of the time, and that's probably what happens. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous, who says it's not necessarily true that there won't be an Arcane 3. Co-creator Christian Link confirmed there are 3 new shows in development, and the final episode teases the ruler of one of the new show's locations, Noxus. Sounds like it just won't be on Piltover. From what I heard, it's supposed to be like an anthology, so all new stories, new characters, all that. Yeah,
that's what I heard as well. So we're not going to get a proper Arcane season 3, and they may not even pick up any of the stories from Arcane. They may not. Again, I'm hearing the same things Jonathan is that it's going to be like a completely different thing, an anthology series kind of set in that universe. But we'll see how it goes. Either way, I loved Arcane. Really loved it. All right, what's next?
We got Alazam. I'm not sure whether I should put the emphasis on that, but hello, big fan of the show, writing all the way from Jordan. That's awesome. Do you think it's a good idea to include so many TV series so early in the DCU development? It may risk alienating fans who feel they need to watch everything to stay informed, similar to the MCU.
James Gunn has made very clear that ain't going to happen. And that's the key thing, right? It's not whether or not you have shows. It's whether or not you're making it so if you want to watch this movie, you have to watch the show too, or you're not going to get it. James Gunn addressed this very early on, saying that that's not the way this is going to be, that they wanted to make it the way the early MCU was, where every project is a valid entry point for a new fan. You don't have to watch Creature Commandos to watch Superman and know what's going on. If you watch Creature Commandos where you have a little bit more background and, you know, some more of the subtleties in it, sure. Yeah, absolutely. But you don't need to watch Creature Commandos to watch Superman. So he's made that very, very, very clear. And by the way, you shouldn't do that with the movies either. Like, if I want to go and enjoy Ant-Man, this was the great thing about Marvel during that period. When Ant-Man came out, you didn't have to have watched any other MCU movie to be able to go in and watch and basically get and enjoy Ant-Man. And that's the way the movie should be too. It's different when you have like Harry Potter 1, Harry Potter 2, Harry Potter 3. I mean, you understand that's one character, you're following their story. That's understandable. But as a whole, your movies and your TV shows, in as much as is possible, should be valid entry points for a brand new fan. And James Gunn says he's going to avoid that pitfall. So let's see how well he does it. All right, what's next?
Alfie says, hi crew, happy holidays. One hope, my one hope for the new Superman movie is seeing Clark and Jimmy as true best friends. Have yet to see that on the big screen or small. Bring on the filthy.
I really don't care. I don't care.
Nor does Superman. He can just piss off Jimmy.
Screw Jimmy. He's pointless. No, I mean, it's, if they do, cool. And like, being as much of an early Superman comics buff that James Gunn is, he may very well do that. But honestly, it's not an important thing to me. It really isn't. If they do it and do it great, wonderful. If they don't do it, that's fine too. But it would be like, you are right though. In all of the, like, the closet of characters from Superman, the one really that has been most overlooked, discarded, because he really was pretty important in the early days, was Jimmy Olsen. And he has pretty much been, for the most part, either really denigrated in the whole thing to like some just little minor appearances, or just ignored at all. So it'll be interesting to see what James Gunn does decide to do with that character.
He did him dirty in Injustice, the animated movie. Do you remember what that happened?
Yeah, does Joker kill him?
Yeah,
Joker kills him. That's right. Yeah, he straight up murked that fool. Then when he was kidnapping Lois Lane, right? Yeah,
the first one.
Yeah, he was the first one gone. He was out pretty quick. All right, what's next?
Anonymous with a two-parter. I keep hoping for a new Gormenghast series, which was always Lord of the Rings rival, as the books were produced at the same time. It all takes place in a castle. There was a year 2000 one made by BBC stars Rhys Meyers and Christopher Lee. It was brilliant. Gormenghast doesn't get the fame that Lord of the Rings does. It's considered one of the greatest fantasy books. Titus Groan is the first of the trilogy by Mervyn Peake from 1946. Like Tolkien, he was also pioneers in this genre. Fingers crossed we see a new adaptation.
I'm going to be honest with you.
I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it.
I'm pretty, but I'm pretty sure it's been presented to the studios. Like,
Gormenghast?
Well, I mean, I'm like, when Lord of the Rings came out and had the success it had, I'm sure every studio was mining every franchise that ever came out that even remotely resembled Lord of the Rings
might
that
be
they
one of
could
them.
do. But I myself, I like, who's that? Blake Berry in the live chat is saying the first book is amazing. I've never heard of it myself, so that's going to be something. That's one of the things I love about our viewer questions, that it puts things on my radar sometimes that I've never even heard of. So I'm going to have to go and look into this one. Thanks for that. All right, what's next?
We got Seabass. Kick his ass, Seabass. Hey, John, probably a dumb question for you, but I don't understand. I have a Regal Unlimited top tier, which I love. However, if I see a movie on opening weekend twice or more, how are those viewings being tallied into box office?
All right, we get asked this question and a version of it quite often.
Yeah, I feel like every 3 months.
Yeah, every couple of months we get this question. So for those of you who've already heard me answer that, just bear with me for a second. So here's how Regal Unlimited, Amazon, or AMC, A-List, and stuff like that basically happens. So I'll just use it from a point of view of AMC A-List, right? But it applies to Regal as well. Let's say this is my AMC A-List card. Okay. Whenever I use my AMC A-List, AMC, for their accounting, counts me using my A-List as a $10 movie ticket purchase. The actual number is whatever the current national average of ticket prices are. Right now, let's just, for argument's sake, for now, say it's like $10, just for simplicity's sake. So if the national average ticket price, say today, is $10, then whenever I use my AMC A-List, for the sake of accounting, AMC counts that as a $10 movie ticket purchase. And then when AMC is figuring out the money they got to send back to the studio, they have to, let's say they have to send back 2/3 of the ticket, for argument's sake. Let's just say $6 just to round it out. So AMC sends $6 to the studios. Now you might be thinking, well, wait a minute. You didn't actually give AMC $10. So aren't they losing money by sending money back to the studio? No, they're not. Because number one, I paid AMC a membership fee. So they get a little bit of money from me from that. But more important to AMC is that they got my ass in the theater. And they know that this Chuckleberry is first thing he's going to do is walk up to the bloody concession stand and drop $18 on buying some popcorn and soda and a bag of Reese's Pieces, right? They know that. That's where they really get their money. So AMC is perfectly fine giving me a free ticket and then giving the studio their cut of that $10, that imaginary $10 movie ticket that I just bought. They're fine with sending $6 off because they know they're going to more than make that money back with me buying stuff at the concession stand. So that's basically how it works with Regal, with AMC A-List. I'm oversimplifying it, and I'm sure there's some subtle differences between the two, but that's basically it. You use your membership to buy a ticket. They count it as a $10 movie ticket price. They send the money off back to the distributors that they're accounted for, and they count on making up that money from you and I using the concession stand. So it's a win-win for everybody. All right. Hope that made it a little more clear. I hope I didn't overcomplicate that.
Avery says, hey guys, been watching for a few years, but this is my first time writing in. With regards to yesterday's topic, we know that Daredevil takes place after Echo as Kingpin is running for mayor in New York. So it should be in the current timeline.
First of all, Avery, thank you so much for writing in. Appreciate you doing that. Yes, but they also weren't exactly clear on when Echo took place, right? So we know Daredevil takes place after Echo, but they weren't super clear on where Echo takes place. Anyway, regardless, I agree with you. I think it's pretty much going to be contemporary. I think when the guy who plays Bullseye said it's 5 years after the events of Daredevil season 3, I don't think he was being specific. I think he's just, look, this is a number of years later. And I agree with you. I think it's probably going to end up just being contemporary today.
Yeah, he probably should have just said it just takes place in current.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Andrew says, hey, John, what do you think of Interstellar? And would you go to see the re-release of Interstellar this weekend? It's my favorite movie. It has perfect score, incredibly cast Matthew McConaughey, John Lithgow. I forgot John Lithgow was in that. Michael Caine and Matt Damon and Timothy Chalamet.
Not my favorite Christopher Nolan film. To be honest, it's not my favorite, but I definitely like it. I have yet to dislike any Christopher Nolan film, to be honest with you. But I like that movie. I do. I like it. I'm probably not planning to go back and watch it in theater again, though. But again, I know a lot of people that passionately love Interstellar.
It's a long movie.
It's a long movie, but I mean, it's a deep movie. It's a brilliantly shot movie. Again, it's another win for Christopher Nolan. It's just not high enough for me to want to go back and see it in the theater again. But that's just me. I think a lot of people will, though. All right, what's next?
Alex says, War of Rohirrim has been my second most anticipated movie of the year. The studio released an 8-minute video of this from the scene. Helm Hammerhand is Middle Earth's Baba Yaga, such a badass as in the appendices. Can't wait to see it in 1 week. Wow, it's coming out soon.
Yeah, look, I'm going to be honest. I was excited for the movie. Then I saw the trailer. I didn't love the trailer. And I totally forgot to watch. I heard that they dropped the first. They did what frickin' Kraven the Hunter did. They dropped like the first 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And so, we talked about it yesterday off air. Like, oh, they dropped it 8 minutes, and then I totally forgot about it. I still haven't seen those. I
want to check it out.
I'm hoping those 8 minutes will get me excited for it. But it's a Lord of the Rings thing. I'm going to be there opening day no matter what.
Anyway.
I hope it's good.
I'm going anyway.
I hope it's good.
Piero says, fun fact, the Save the World music video by Swedish House Mafia was directed by the then up-and-coming John Watts. Oh, cool. Despite them being a global music phenomenon, Watts has had a long, humble journey leading to Skeleton Crew. Just a cool connection. A lot of directors get their start in commercials and music videos.
And it will shock you to find out how many directors get their start in music videos.
Yeah.
Like that's just where a lot of them start to cut their teeth.
Uh-huh.
And that's a good not so much a narrative thing, but a good technical thing for them to do.
Yep.
Yeah, listen, man, I am very impressed with John Watts. It's not just because he did a marvelous job on those 3 Spider-Man movies. Those are not easy films to direct. And the pressure would have been insane. But, Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home, he did such a good job on that. But then you're like, okay, what can he do outside of comic books? Then he did Wolves. which got done dirty and didn't get its theatrical release by Apple. But I finally saw it, and it's like, you know what? This is really good. Not top 10 best films of the year or anything, but it was really good. So he can do comic book stuff. He can do crime stuff. And now with Skeleton Crew, I know we're only 2 episodes in. Man, those 2 episodes are good.
Mm-hmm.
And so John Watts is turning into one of these guys that we are really going to have to keep our eye on, because this guy's good.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
really good.
You knew he could work with kids because Cop Car turned out so well.
Yeah.
So,
all right, what's next?
Sir Z says, chilling to you guys before my final master's exam in 2 hours. Congratulations.
Nice.
Wow. I've heard that the TMNT Last Ronin is about to start filming in LA in Jan. Is this true? Okay, I didn't know it was going to be live action. John, do you remember The Littlest Hobo? Used to love that when I was a kid back in the UK. Hashtag Blade 2026.
First of all, let's start with the side note of Littlest Hobo. Littlest Hobo, for any kid who grew up in Canada, that's something we remember. It was basically a stray German shepherd that would just, every episode would wander from town to town and help somebody out in that town.
It kind of looks like Rin Tin Tin, the dog, but obviously completely different, like, subject matter. But.
Yeah. And it was a very low budget show, like super low budget.
Sure.
I still remember the theme song too. It's like, maybe tomorrow I'll want to settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the theme song. That's what we would do. And at the end of every episode, the little kid or the family would go, thank you so much. And then the dog would just go walking off down the road again, off to his next adventure. It's called The Littlest Hobo.
I feel like Gordon Lightfoot should have done the theme song.
Exactly. It was very much a Gordon Lightfoot kind of theme song. Anyway, that being said, TMNT The Last Ronin. Somebody wrote in a while ago and asking, hey, with all the ownership changing and all these changes that have happened at Paramount, are they still going to do The Last Ronin? And I said, I think they are, but I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I have not heard that they start shooting in January. I have not heard that, but I can find out. I'll tell you what, I will make it a point to find out by tomorrow. If that is indeed true, because I hope it is, because I think this would be an awesome project. I think it could be really, really good. Anyway, all right, what's next?
T-Man says ESPN is now being merged onto Disney Plus. As with Hulu, you must have an ESPN Plus account or the Disney bundle to access. The Max bundle does not include ESPN. How longer do you think separate Hulu ESPN accounts will be required until the services are ended?
I don't ever see ESPN ever stop being its own standalone thing. So what he's referring to is much like Hulu. Now, if you open up Disney Plus, if you have a Hulu account, you can just access all your Hulu stuff from inside Disney Plus.
I just don't like the interface, though. I like Hulu on its own.
Yeah.
It feels limited.
But it's convenient.
Yeah.
Right? And so now what they've done, they've also put ESPN in there to add sports content. What they're trying to do here is make Disney Plus have a much broader appeal, right? Like they're about to have college football on there and a lot of stuff will be in there too. So I don't know if they'll ever have it. I mean, maybe they'll introduce a specific bundle like, hey, pay $27 a month and you get, commercial free Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN. That's certainly worth it to me. But I don't think you're ever going to see it, at least not in the near future, that ESPN it's still its own standalone thing that you would need a separate membership for to have it included in your Disney Plus. But then again, we'll see what their plans are, as this is an ever evolving situation. All right, what's next?
Michael Monroe says, I thought Creature Commandos' first 2 episodes were okay. Animation quality feels behind X-Men 97, What If, and Invincible. Gunn sure likes his Finnish rock. Hanoi rocks in Peacemaker. And now in the end credits of episode 1, Korpiklani, cover of Juodon Vienna.
Oh, yeah, man. If I had a nickel for every time I played Jordan Huinoa. Yeah, I've never heard of them. But I think the animation, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't love the animation style of a lot of modern animation. I think it can work. I mean, the important thing about the animated shows isn't the animation, it's the story, right? Because I'll be straight up, I didn't love the animation in X-Men 97. I don't love the animation in Harley Quinn. I don't love the animation in Invincible. But I don't think any of that is like really truly important. I think it's what makes those shows good is the story, and the visuals are there to help tell it. But I'll be honest with you. I don't think a lot of modern animation has very good animation styles, to be honest with you. Anyway, that's just me. All right, what's next?
We got. Oh, wait, I just read that one. Sorry. Anorak, the all-knowing. Hello, John and crew. I love Terminator franchise and everything. And every time I destroy something in games, I say for John. Terminator Dark Fate reference. Any hopes for a next Terminator film, or maybe a cameo of Arnold in the next Predator film?
No and no. I mean, let's just be honest here. They ran Terminator into the ground. I mean, they really. I thought they were dead and gone after Genesis.
Yeah, it was not for lack of trying.
Yeah. And then they kept going back to the well. Ray, maybe you can look up what the last Terminator film made at the box office. But I think Mackenzie Davis
was that Genesis?
No, not it came out after Genesis. The one with Mackenzie Davis in it. And by the way, I didn't mind that movie. But just putting Arnold Schwarzenegger in it did not get people to come out to the movie theaters. Right?
Yeah,
it just didn't get them to come.
Dark Fate.
261
million.
Worldwide, 261 million. That doesn't cut it.
Opening was 29 million.
So I just don't think people are interested in it anymore. Now, that being said, I kind of felt the same way about the Alien franchise.
That's the thing, and Predator.
And Predator. And then Prey came out. And then Alien Romulus came out. And those projects have both breathed new life into those IPs. So I kind of, to be honest with you, I kind of consider Terminator to be a dead franchise. But if they get their own kind of Alien Romulus, like a Terminator Romulus sort of thing comes around, I mean, it could have more new life. But like, how many different ways and how many times can you tell the same story? We get it. In the future, there's a machine war, machines take over, and they send somebody back in time to save the human race. Okay, how many times do you do it? But how many times can you do the same alien story over and over again? If they can come up with something that becomes their Prey or their Alien Romulus for that series, maybe. But until that happens, I just don't know that they want to spend more money on it. And putting Arnold in it, as much as I love Arnold, clearly putting Arnold in something doesn't get the people to rush out to the movie theaters anymore. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Race 40X Adult Theater. Wicked also won at the 24 AVN Awards, beating off competitors like How to Drain Your Dragon, Kiss Kiss Gang Bang, Deep Impact, Armageddon 69. I feel like you could put any movie there and just added the 69, and Gandhi 3 for some reason. Bring on the filthy.
True story. True story.
True story.
Back in my AMC days. Actually, you know, even before that, back in my movie blog days, but then again later in the AMC days, I got invited to the AVN Awards in Las Vegas. Now, for those of you who don't know,
big privilege right there.
and none of you lie, you all know, but for those of you who don't, maybe a little more pure of spirit, the AVN Awards are basically the adult film industry's Oscars, where categories like Best Girl, and Best Threesome Scene, and like all that kind of stuff. But anyway, and I remember back in my movie blog days, I actually got invited to go and cover the AVN Awards. And then when I was at AMC again, I got this big invitation to go and cover it. Didn't think AMC wanted me to go do that.
Yeah.
So I politely turned it down.
I couldn't even make it through the previews where they show the nominees.
Show the nominee.
Like restroom.
Here we go.
Nah, yeah, okay.
So, yeah, interesting days.
Bathroom break.
All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, just saw you read my message. Gormenghast probably influences House of the Dragon for intrigue. It's depicted in this massive crumbling castle. It's a trilogy. It depicts the different classes. It was huge in the 60s. You can get it on audiobook. Sounds very interesting.
Yeah. Again, never heard of it. So it's always cool when I find out about this stuff. All right, what's next?
Yeah. Mr. Ice has got a suggestion. Next time someone asks for an explanation of MoviePass or Real Unlimited, explain it in your best Ben Stein voice, complete with Bueller.
I don't care what anybody says. I used to love There was a short-lived game show
Win
called
Ben Stein's Money.
Ben Stein's Money.
It was one of my favorite. It was on VH1, I think, or something like that.
That's a smart dude. You
I like that movie a lot.
I was really
that
lucky.
game.
I got to. He came on my show back when I was still doing the movie blog. He
Oh, wow.
came on as a guest on the movie blog once.
Wow.
Super nice guy, like really smart, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, if you've never seen it, see if you can find it. I don't know where on earth you'd find it, but if you can find episodes of Win Ben Stein's Money,
Yeah.
he is a really like he basically you're matching wits with Ben Stein, and he was a really smart.
Do you remember
dude.
his co-host?
Was it Jimmy Kimmel?
Jimmy Kimmel.
I forgot about that till you just brought it up. Then it was like, oh my God, that's right. Jimmy Kimmel was his Vanna White in many ways.
Yep.
All right, what's
All
next?
right, and just to follow up, Anonymous just says that the first book is called Titus Growin'. So I'll check it.
All
I'm
right.
going to check it out.
Good to know.
And then we can hear from our members now.
All right.
Creature Donovan says the Creature Commandos was perfect for what I believe Gunn is going for. Gun humor, edginess throughout, and so satisfying. I can't wait for more.
Listen, I wanted to watch Creature Command because I'm a huge James Gunn guy. So I wanted to watch it and then come out and go, oh my God, I loved it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. And again, to me, it's all about the groundwork they're laying has a lot of potential. So I am quite intrigued to see where it goes. I wish I liked the first 2 episodes as much as you did. I didn't, but I still liked it. And here's hoping that it continues to build on that as they go forward. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Lori Howard who says, hello, film-loving fans. It's the 25th anniversary of Harlem Nights.
Wow.
What do you think about reimagining during a different era, like the 70s or 80s? I don't know. I just feel like
It was so DNA encrypted for that era.
for that era of like the 40s, right, or the 30s.
Right.
Man, I don't know.
I mean, listen, there have been movies that have like looked at life in different eras, right? But when you're talking about that one specifically, it's just so DNA. I don't like you can do it, but then it's not that IP anymore. It's something completely different.
yeah, I think it was the 30s, but yeah.
But again, it was just so DNA encrypted for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Think you can just pick it up and drop that story in another era. I just don't know that you can do that. It's a really interesting question. But
Yeah, it could be done, but I just don't know.
I just don't know that it's the same thing anymore, though. If you move that, because the era was so intrinsically tied to it. Anyway, all right, what's next?
All right, we got Slarf, who says just finished season 3 of From, and wow, what a show! Simply got even better each season. Incredible stuff.
It's one of those shows that I absolutely love, and I just forgot about it after the first season. I loved the first season, and then I just forgot about it. And so I got to get caught up in seasons 2 and 3 because everybody's telling me it's been amazing. But again, if you haven't seen From, I highly encourage it. It's a really, really good show. And I love the first season, but I need to get caught up. All right, what's next?
Jonathan says, hi, everyone. It was a pleasant surprise to see the National Board of Review select Wicked as best film of the year. And also to see Dune 2 completely absent from their film list. How do you think this could shake up the Oscars race?
Historically, not much. I mean, historically, the NBR and the Oscars have not had a lot of synergy between them. Like sometimes there's similarities, but not always. Like for example, again, last year, Killers of the Flower Moon won their Best Picture, and I love that movie. I did. I don't think it came in the top 3 for the Oscar voting. So I don't really think. While I think the NBR results are definitely noteworthy. That's why we talked about them today. I don't think they're actual indicators for what happens at the Oscars, though, or shakes anything up with the Oscars. Now, we'll see what happens as award season starts to progress and if we start to see some trends. But right now, I don't think it shakes anything up, to be honest with you. All right, what's next?
Joe Howland asks, hope your day is going well. My question is, do you think that the end of season 1 of Dune will lead to the new movie? No, because
because it's literally set thousands of
Yeah.
years. Now, they might introduce some ideas,
elements, maybe,
that then get referenced, but no, the show will not end and lead directly into the new movie because again, this show is like literally set thousands and thousands and thousands of years in the past. And they aren't going to do anything where you need to watch a show and to be able to watch the new movie. So some ideas get transferred over, sure, but a direct leading into, no, I don't think so. All right, what's next?
We got Espinoza, who says MLS Cup is this Saturday between LA Galaxy, who have the most championships with 5, going for their 6th, and New York Red Bulls, who's looking for their first title. Another LA New York championship showdown. Who you got? I'm just gonna go LA Galaxy. I have no idea. I'm just
I
gonna say
couldn't name a
Galaxy.
single player on either team. I've gone to a few MLS games, but it's always been the LA. Damn it, what's the name of the team now?
Galaxy.
No, there's the other one. There's 2 teams. There's the LA Galaxy and LAFC.
Oh,
I've just gone to the LAFC games. I've never gone to an LA Galaxy game, so I couldn't even name a single player on either team. So I have no idea whatsoever. All right, what's next?
Matt says, have any of you guys seen the show Euphoria? I just watched the show for the first time, completed both seasons. The show is absolutely insane and hard to watch at points, but I really loved it, especially with the messaging.
It's a very good show. And listen, in case anybody had any doubts about Zendaya and where her level of acting was, that show removed them. Like, she's won awards for that. And you're right. It's definitely very difficult in places to watch. As a matter of fact, if I was a parent, I think I would find it too difficult to watch. So it's a brilliant show. They keep saying it's coming back, but there's nothing in concrete yet. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with that. And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number 1, because you gave us great, interesting things to talk about. But number 2, you supported our channel as you did it. By the way, for those of you who are here, on tomorrow's show, we're going to have a special guest in studio, Sean Chandler. I'm sure some of you guys watch his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
He dropped me a note the other day saying, hey, I'm going to be in LA. Can I come on the show? I'm like, yeah, come on in. So Sean's going to be on the show with us tomorrow. We're
In
looking
person.
forward-
Yeah.
In person.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to having him there. So we'll look forward to that. And I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora,
Hey, see you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
All right, guys. See you later.
Once again, guys, go check out our Amazon wish list for our adoptive family this year. Help us clear the rest of that list out. And my name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.